Right now on the National Weather Desk is avalanche season out west. We'll show you several caught on camera and see how experts watch for signs of snowslides.
Weak plains in the snowpack here are often also represented in the snowpack in the avalanche zones.
A rarity for California. For the first time in 25 years, no part of the state is in a drought.
So we've had this heavy, steady rain that has continued.
But a dozen western states are facing a different drought, a lack of snow. We'll look back at some very expensive weather events from 2025.
That didn't come cheap. $115 billion in damages, to be exact.
And what you can do right now to help protect your home from the winter cold.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. We start with news of 3 avalanches of note over the past few days. In Washington state, 2 men were killed when an avalanche started while they were backcountry skiing on Saturday. They were among 4 men skiing east of Seattle when the snowslide happened. The 2 survivors used a satellite device to send a distress signal. Crews on snowmobiles rescued them. The area received more than 2 feet of snow last week. And the Colorado Avalanche Information Center released this video right here over the weekend showing an avalanche in Rocky Mountain National Park. Now, one of 3 skiers was actually recording when the avalanche started. It cleared part of the slope and carried 1 member of the group down that mountain. He grabbed onto a tree but dislocated his shoulder. Another skier was caught in a slide when he rushed to help. Thankfully, they were all able to safely exit that area. And last week, an avalanche in Alaska was caught on camera. On Friday, officials in Juneau urged some residents to evacuate and others to be ready due to an avalanche threat. The emergency response workers who recorded the video said he saw several avalanches in under 2 hours. No major injuries have been reported, but avalanche hazards remain high as heavy rain fell on top of record December snow. And monitoring for avalanche risks is a key part of keeping everyone in mountain communities safe. Meteorologist George Waldenberger met up with an avalanche specialist in Washington state to learn more about what they do.
Across the road from where Seattle learned to ski is where WashDOT learns to see. Signs the snowpack at Snoqualmie Pass could weaken, releasing an avalanche onto I-90.
We have 3 main avalanche areas west of Snoqualmie Pass, one on Denny Mountain, one on Granite Mountain, and the other that's just over the hill there from the Summit West ski area. We call the Shed Wall and Airplane Curve.
Accessing these 3 problem spots to investigate the avalanche risk is too difficult or dangerous on a daily basis. But on this nearby, flat, sheltered site, it's convenient to pierce.
There's an ice layer there.
Dig deep into.
That sugary appearance, we don't want that.
And weigh.
The amount of water that's in there.
Weak plains in the snowpack here are often also represented in the snowpack in the avalanche zones, as is the total snow load. Back in the winter of 1998-99, there was so much snow, it came to the top of this 15-foot tower. This is where a wind shield protects the precipitation gauge for accurate measurements. Predicting the size of a possible avalanche can determine if it would run onto the roadway or stop short.
Well, despite those avalanche conditions, there's a significant snow drought in a dozen western states. Snow cover across these states as of last week was the lowest in at least 25 years. The situation is more severe in Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. The problem is not precipitation. More rain than snow has fallen in many years. And while that's good for the water supply, right now reservoirs count on melting snow to help with supplies through the summer. For the first time in a quarter century, the state of California is 100% drought-free. The latest maps from the U.S. Drought Monitor also show the state has no areas that are abnormally dry. That has not happened since December of 2000. Caleb Mueller has more.
This week's U.S. Drought Monitor map is an unusual sight to see as California shows no drought conditions, while much of the rest of the country is experiencing abnormally dry or drought conditions.
This water year, which started October 1, we got off to a great start. And we've seen regular storms work their way through over the months. And in the first quarter of the water year, as we rounded into the new calendar year, We're at about 150% of average on precipitation.
This 2025 to 2026 season is considered to be a La Nina year. And for California, that usually means drier conditions.
But this year is an anomaly. We are seeing the storms form right off the coast of California. So they're coming right in, inundating the state from north to south. So we've had this heavy, steady rain that has continued.
That steady rain has also helped refill California's reservoirs, with 14 of the 17 major ones at 70% or more capacity. But that doesn't mean these conditions are here to stay. Climatologists say we're in a wait-and-see period to see how the rest of winter goes and what things will look like come fire season.
That back and forth is something California is well accustomed to. But we'll see then as we get into February and March when they start their growth cycle, if there's continued moisture to allow for that. And then fire season begins when those grasses begin to dry out.
The next week or so is supposed to be fairly dry in the state, warm as well. So again, as quickly as we've seen some of these dry situations get tampered down and relieved, they could be developing again.
The heavy rain that helped end California's drought is finally over. Flood waters have receded and residents are assessing the damage. Verona King has the story from Northern California.
The water was all the way up to here on the bad day. That one was 8 inches underwater. This one was about 4 inches underwater because this one's a little bit.
At the end of 2025, into the beginning of the new year, king tides caused significant flooding in low-lying areas like King Salmon. A resident of over 40 years tells me the damage will take some time to fix.
Most of the houses put here in the 50s, all the electricals in the bottoms of the houses, just the way they're designed. And it's always been an issue for my properties.
The Humboldt County Department of Health and Human Services is providing health advisory and cleanup guidance. King Salmon resident Bruce Brown believes there will be more flooding in the future.
Do the best you can to get everything off the floor in the future. I'm sure this is going to happen again.
If anyone,
and it's sad, you know, it really is.
If anyone gets lost in the great outdoors like national or state parks, it can be crucial to locate them before exposure to the elements turn things dangerous. That's exactly what happened east of Birmingham, Alabama. Thankfully, technology helped speed up the location process. Faye Fox reports.
All right, guys, I verified that is them.
An evening hike turned into a nightmare for two hikers. And Officer Dakota Gunter, an Oxford tactical flight officer, recalls when he received the call on January 7th around 6 p.m.
We got in the helicopter, took off at 6:14, and at the 8-minute mark, we located them using our thermal imagery with our FLIR camera mounted on the helicopter.
Now getting rescue crews to the hikers, however, proved to be slightly challenging.
The difficult part about this one was it's way out in the National Forest off of the Pinhoti Trail. So once the rescue personnel were going down towards the lost hikers, they lost radio communications. So before they lost radio communications, I pointed them in the right direction, told them a good heading to walk. They continued on that path until they found them.
In the end, the hikers were safely rescued, and Officer Gunter says thermal imaging made all the difference.
How IR works is it picks up heat signatures. We can dial that camera in really good to get a very clear picture to be able to tell what that heat signature is.
41 years ago today, San Antonio experienced the biggest snowfall in the city's recorded history. Between January 11th and 13th of 1985, more than 13 inches of snow fell on the Alamo City. That's more than double the previous record. As you may imagine, the snow shut down the city, closing the airport and schools for days. The weight of the snow also caused many carports and overhangs to collapse. Now, the snow was caused by a strong Arctic air mass pushing south, combined with a low pressure system from the southwest, bringing lots of Pacific moisture. And we want to wish the Grand Canyon a very happy birthday. On January 11, 1908, President Theodore Roosevelt declared the Grand Canyon as a national monument. Roosevelt had made environmental conservation a major part of his presidency. Congress did not officially outlaw private development in the Grand Canyon, though, until 1919, when President Woodrow Wilson signed the Grand Canyon National Park Act. Today, more than 5 million people visit the canyon each year. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, last year was an active and expensive one for weather across the U.S. We'll look at what storms cost the most, plus cost-saving tips for winterizing your home.
This is meteorologist Hannah Sheehy with a look at the Northeast. Waking up to lots of sunshine, a lot of us through the morning today. Some cloudiness across New York and western Pennsylvania. Northern areas of New York will actually have some snow showers today through 3:30 and the late afternoon hours as well, and maybe some in the mountains of New Hampshire. But overall, our highs today will climb into the mid-30s for most of us, and down into New York City and Atlantic City down into the low 40s. Overall, it should be a good day.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region going into your Monday. I don't think we're going to have too many problems. It will be still a bit breezy and cold, but we should actually have some sunshine to go around, and that'll likely be the case into at least your Tuesday morning. Most likely going to see it in Tuesday afternoon as well. Those temperatures still stuck 30s to 40s, and again, the wind chill factor is still going to be a bit around until later Tuesday, as those highs will only reach the upper 40s, low 50s. We'll be expecting some precipitation to arrive by Wednesday.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins here with your Southeast forecast. As we look ahead for the start of the week, a frontal boundary which crossed Florida will leave some cloud cover behind it. We're waking up chilly for most of the Southeast too, with afternoon highs remaining in the 40s and 50s across the region. High pressure will settle in for your Tuesday. That leaves sunshine around for most of the Southeast. We're watching a much stronger cold front that will arrive heading into midweek, with most of the Southeast waking up chilly as we head into Friday morning.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Recently, the temperatures were warm enough in Flint, Michigan for plain rainfall and a rainbow. And this 22-degree halo seems to have a smile perched on top. It's an upper tangent arc. They form in high cirrus clouds when hexagonal ice crystals are lined up horizontally and refract sunlight. A similar arc can also form at the bottom of such halos.
2025 was a big year for wildfires in California. While there were not many major fires in Northern California, firefighters from the area took part in the Eaton and Palisades fire outside of LA. Hannah Gutierrez is outside of Sacramento with a look back at last year's fire season.
2025 was a little bit more benign than 2024 in regards to wildland fires.
While 2024 brought large-scale incidents in Butte County like the Park and Thompson fires, 2025 was a calmer year for CAL FIRE Butte County.
We had roughly 280 wildland fires, of which only 9 went over 10 acres or more.
One notable incident was the Grove Fire, which sparked on July 4th, burning 78 acres in the area of southeast Orville. In between firefighting missions, crews are preparing themselves along with the surrounding landscape to be a forefront against fire potential.
They are working out, training, and preparing for the threat or for an upcoming wildland fire, but they're also doing fire prevention activities as well.
In addition to safeguarding life, land, and property at home, CAL FIRE Butte County crews also joined the firefight in Los Angeles during the Eaton and Palisades fires.
We are prone to wildland fires 365 days a year. And so that was a big eye opener for some of us from Northern California to go down there and see that fire behavior and to see that destruction in January.
The department also celebrated wins in 2025 through the reopening of the Berry Creek Fire Station, which was destroyed during the 2020 North Complex fire, plus the acquirement of new fuel reduction equipment. Collins gives credit to the coordination and efforts of air and ground crews, along with Butte County residents who have implemented fire safety measures on their properties.
I want all of our citizens to be safe and for no one to be evacuated and no one to lose their homes this year. Everyone continues to be vigilant around their properties, performing those defensible space inspections, paying attention to current events, the weather, and the news that's out there.
Last year was an active and expensive one for weather across the U.S. Green Bay meteorologist Audrey Lee looks at the numbers across the country and in Wisconsin.
2025 was an active weather year in the United States that didn't come cheap. $115 billion in damages, to be exact. Since the 1980s, these high-priced weather events have been happening more often and closer together. 2025 is the third most expensive weather disaster year, following 2023 and 2024 being the first and second most expensive. Of the $115 billion, $21 billion was for tornadoes, damaging winds, hail, and flooding, mainly across the central U.S. The most expensive disaster came at the beginning of the year. The Los Angeles wildfires caused $61 billion in damage, now the most expensive wildfire on record. 5 severe weather events caused between $1 and $2 billion in damage here in Wisconsin. Not every disaster was the same. The August flooding in southeastern Wisconsin was the second most expensive federal disaster of the year, at $195 million. 2025 also saw a lot of energy in the atmosphere. There were 252 million lightning strikes nationwide, a 20% increase from 2024, and the highest in the last 8 years. A little more than half of that occurred across the southern U.S. The most active lightning day was April 5th, with more than 3 million strikes in just 24 hours. Wisconsin ranked 29th for lightning strikes at 2.2 million. The August flooding event contributed to more than 100,000 of those strikes.
It's been a snowy winter so far for portions of upstate New York, with snow piling up on roads and also on rooftops. But do you know just how much all that snow could actually weigh? The answer might actually surprise you as well. Here's meteorologist Violet Skybauer.
We have quite a bit of snow on the ground across central New York, and that weight is really starting to add up, especially on your rooftop. But it starts to become a lot heavier when you add rain, and we're expecting a couple batches of rain as we head into this weekend. But how much actual weight will this be piling up on your roof? Well, first looking at the snow pack that's on the ground right now. The highest totals are up in Oswego County and the Tug Hill, where we're seeing anywhere from 3 to 4 feet of snow on the ground. But it's very fluffy, dry snow, so it only translates to about 2.4 inches of water, which is about 13 pounds per cubic foot. Now, adding in the rain we're expecting to get this weekend, let's say we get an average of an extra inch of water, so a total of 3.4 inches of water. But you also have to factor in snow melt. With temperatures at 40 degrees, the rain rapidly melts the snow, about an inch of snow melt per hour. So let's say about 36 hours of snow melt. That'll take us down to 12 inches of snow on the ground. But this is a very heavy, wet snow, weighing about 18 pounds per cubic foot. Now let's add up the feet. Let's say you have an average roof size of 1,500 square feet. With that fluffy snow that's on the ground right now, that's a 20-to-1 snow ratio. That basically means 20 inches of snow is equal to 1 inch of water. And for 4 feet of that, at 13 pounds per square foot, it adds up to 19,500 pounds. That's a weight of 4 pickup trucks. Now, for wet snow, which is a 4-to-1 ratio, 4 inches of snow to 1 inch of water. Let's say we have 1 foot of that, which is 18 pounds per square foot. That adds up on a 1,500 square foot roof to 27,000 pounds. That's the weight of 6 pickup trucks. The good news is most roofs are built to hold 20 to 30 pounds per square foot, so it should be able to hold this.
Well, now is a good time to winterize your home and save some money off your annual energy costs. Melanie Hastings tells us how.
Start by making sure your pipes don't freeze this winter.
Turn off any outdoor faucets. There's usually a way to cut off the supply to them, and then go ahead and drain them out. You definitely want to disconnect any hoses that are attached to them.
Next, seal all drafts.
You can just make sure you have good weather stripping installed around all doors. Make sure your windows shut tightly, and just sealing up cracks. When you're not using your fireplace, make sure that damper is completely closed.
Insulate your pipes and don't let air escape out of the roof.
Just check to see how much insulation you have in your attic. Most homes don't have adequate insulation.
Reduce your water heater's temperature to 120 degrees and lower your thermostat to 68 degrees. For every degree below 70, you can save 1 to 3% on heating, according to the U.S. Department of Energy. Open your blinds and let that free solar heat into your house during the day. And reverse your ceiling fan blades to run clockwise at slow speeds. That'll push the warm air trapped at the ceiling down into your living space.
And time now for a short break, but first we take in the views from the Palisades Tahoe Ski Resort in California.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. It's always nice when we can start the work week quiet, and the Midwest is going to be doing that for the day today. Kind of chilly for us. We got some 50s, maybe even getting to 61 there in Wichita, but a little chilly across the Great Lakes. Now, heading into the day tomorrow, we got a few snow showers starting to sneak their way down from the north, and we'll continue to see a little bit more of those lake effect snow showers, especially across the Great Lakes on Wednesday.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look to forecast across the region and a cold start. 30s and 40s. We'll have the clouds and maybe an isolated shower across portions of Texas through the day. High temperatures across the region, 50s and 60s, so seasonally cool for this time of year. We have a rain chance across south central Texas into your Tuesday morning, and then just a mix of sun and clouds with temperatures again in the 50s and low 60s for the afternoon on Tuesday.
Good Monday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. An atmospheric river will continue to bring rain towards the Olympic Mountains and the North Cascades. Meanwhile, high pressure will build, and there will be some gusty Santa Ana winds towards Southern California with daytime highs climbing into the 70s for LA through San Diego. We've got 50s from Denver through Albuquerque, 40s from Spokane to Missoula, with daytime highs in the Pacific Northwest from Seattle through Portland, ranging in the low 50s.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Last month, California saw rounds of heavy rain and flooding conditions are much drier now, but as the water receded, a new problem was revealed: potholes. Alexis Bruno has that story.
Potholes
Potholes have sprung up on area roads throughout Shasta County due to weeks of heavy rain.
Potholes just inevitably happen, and with the weather, they seem to get a little bit worse and worse.
With the rain seeping into the cracks of the pavement, creating potholes, several viewers shared their encounters with them, including popped tires through our Facebook page. Redding, California Highway Patrol Sergeant Tim Hinkson says it's important to do a pre-check before heading out.
Make sure your headlights are working good. If you're able to use your brights to project your line of sight a little bit better during the darker hours, that's great to do. Making sure you're keeping that good visual horizon ahead of your vehicle.
If a pothole is encountered on the road, Hinkson advises to keep both hands on the wheel and release your foot from the gas pedal and the brakes while passing. Potholes can cost thousands of dollars in repairs to a vehicle, so it's crucial to stay alert on the road.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.